Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Learn With Me. I'm Deborah Hanson, and today we're going to be looking at AP Psychology 5.5, Treatment of Psychological Disorders. There are 7 CED questions for this section of 5.5, and this is part 4, or CED question number 4. Let's break that down. So on this slide, you're going to see all the key terms for 5.5. So this is for all the CED questions, and those are on a separate video where I go through the definition and real-life examples to help you better understand each of the key terms. We know the key to the 5 is understanding your key terms, because you need to be able to apply those in your MCQs and your FRQs. So when you see these words somewhere on the test, you need to be able to identify it and then explain it. So either it's in an FRQ or be able to attach it to the correct answer on an MCQ. So super important to learn your key terms. So leave me a comment below to let me know what your best method is to learn the key terms. So before we get started on the CED question, let me just say thank you to everybody who's subscribed to the channel already. Please, if you haven't done so, hit that subscribe button for me and the like button and leave me comments. Apparently, my kids tell me that it's really important to do that for my engagement, or I'm not too sure how it all works. I really just want to provide some good content for you to help you to get that 5 on the AP exam. But anyway, you guys know how it works, so help me out if you can. I would really appreciate it. So CED question number 4, describe techniques used with psychological therapies. So let's just start with an overview of what we're going to talk about in the video. So psychological therapies employ various techniques tailored to specific disorders and individual needs. So the major approaches we're going to look at today are 1, psychodynamic therapy, 2, cognitive therapy, 3, behavioral therapy, 4, cognitive behavioral therapy, or also known as CBT, and lastly, humanistic therapy. Let's break all those down with all the essential knowledge you're going to need to know on the test. Let's start off by exploring one of the oldest and most foundational approaches in psychology, psychodynamic therapy. Rooted in the ideas of Sigmund Freud, this therapy focuses on uncovering unconscious thoughts, emotions, and conflicts that influence our behavior, often without us even realizing it. Psychodynamic therapy is designed to help people understand and resolve inner emotional conflicts by bringing unconscious material into the conscious awareness. The goal is insight. Once we understand what's hidden beneath the surface, we can start to heal. The belief is that many psychological issues come from unresolved past experiences, especially from childhood, that shape how we think, feel, and relate to others today. Let's look at some of the key techniques used in this type of therapy. 1, free association. Clients are encouraged to speak freely, sharing thoughts, memories, or feelings without censorship. The therapist listens for patterns, slips, or hidden emotions that may reveal unconscious conflicts. The next one is dream interpretation. Dreams are viewed as symbolic expressions of the unconscious. So a therapist might help a client interpret recurring dreams to uncover fears, desires, or any unresolved issues. Here's an example for you. A client keeps dreaming that they're falling. Through psychodynamic therapy, the therapist helps the client connect that dream to a deep fear of failure, possibly rooted in early life experiences where they felt pressure to be perfect. Psychodynamic theory helps people understand the why behind their thoughts and behaviors, especially when emotions feel overwhelming or confusing. So by gaining insights into these inner conflicts, clients can start to make healthier choices about building fulfilling relationships. Next, we're going to talk about cognitive therapy, one of the most widely used and effective approaches in modern psychology. This form of therapy focuses on how our thoughts shape our emotions and behaviors, and how changing those thoughts can lead to real long-lasting changes. So cognitive therapy helps clients identify and change maladaptive thought patterns, especially those that are negative, irrational, or distorted. The idea is really simple but powerful. Change your thinking, change your life. People don't just react to situations, they react to how they interpret the situation. If those interpretations are overly negative or unrealistic, they can lead to emotional distress and harmful behaviors. Now let's look at some of the key techniques used in cognitive therapy. 1, cognitive restructuring. Clients learn to challenge and reframe negative thoughts. For example, challenging "I'm a failure" to "I've had setbacks, but I'm learning and I'm improving." The next one is cognitive triad. This was developed by Aaron Beck. This addresses negative thoughts about oneself: "I'm worthless," "the world," "people are against me," "the future," "things will never get better." These core beliefs are often at the root of depression and anxiety. The next one is fear hierarchies, used especially for anxiety and phobias. This involves gradually facing fears in a structured way, from least to most scary, while learning coping skills along the way. Let's look at an example. A client who often thinks I'll never succeed works with their therapist to reframe it into I can make small steps towards my goal. And over time, this helps them feel more powerful and motivated. Cognitive therapy gives people the tools to challenge the voice of self doubt, reduce anxiety, and create more balanced, empowering ways of thinking. It's about gaining control over your inner dialogue and unlocking a more positive mindset. Now we're going to talk about behavioral therapy. It's a powerful, practical approach based on the idea that behavior is learned and therefore it can be unlearned or reshaped. This type of therapy focuses directly on changing maladaptive behaviors through techniques grounded in the science of learning and conditioning. Behavioral therapy uses principles from classical and operant conditioning to change behaviors that are harmful, unproductive, or interfering with your daily life. The focus is on what a person does, not necessarily what they think or feel, though emotions often improve as behavior improves. Let's look at some of the key techniques in behavioral therapy. One, applied behavioral analysis. This is often used with individuals with autism. This method reinforces desired behaviors and discourages undesired ones through a structured system of rewards and consequences. The second one we're going to talk about is exposure therapy. This involves gradual and controlled exposure to a feared object or situation to reduce anxiety over time. One method is systematic desensitization, which pairs relaxation techniques with exposure to fear in small steps. Next up, aversion therapy. In this technique, an unpleasant stimulus is paired with an unwanted behavior, like smoking or nail biting, to make the behavior less appealing. The last one is token economies. Individuals earn tokens or points for completing positive behaviors, which can be exchanged for rewards, commonly used in schools, therapy, and behavior modification programs. Here's an example. In a classroom setting, a child earns tokens for completing homework or showing kind behavior. After earning a certain number of tokens, they can cash them in for a favorite activity, like, for example, extra playtime or choosing a game. This motivates the child to repeat those positive behaviors. Behavioral therapy is especially helpful for people struggling with phobias, ADHD, OCD, autism, or disruptive behaviors. It's clear, goal-oriented, and evidence-based, focusing on real-life skills and measurable progress. We're going to talk about a fascinating therapy that bridges mind and body, and it's called biofeedback. This technique uses technology and conditioning to help people become aware of and control physical processes in their body that are often linked to anxiety, stress, or depression. Biofeedback is a therapeutic technique that helps clients regulate involuntary physiological responses, like your heart rate, muscle tension, or breathing, and it provides real-time feedback. It's based on classical and operant conditioning principles. By seeing or hearing their body's signals, people can learn to change them. This is how it works. Sensors are placed on the body to measure functions like heart rate, muscle tension, breathing rate, and skin temperature. This information is displayed on a screen in real time. When the client practices relaxation techniques like deep breathing, visualization, or progressive muscle relaxation, they can see their body responding. Over time, they learn how to self-regulate these responses even without the machines. Here's some key points. One, clients learn to monitor and control physical responses. So instead of being unaware of stress building up, clients learn to recognize it and therefore intervene. The second one triggers the parasympathetic nervous system. Techniques used in biofeedback help calm our bodies, activating the rest and digest system, which reduces anxiety and improves mood. Here's an example for you. A client who experiences panic attacks learns through biofeedback that deep breathing reduces their heart rate and muscle tension. Over time, they begin using these breathing techniques in daily life to manage panic before it escalates. Biofeedback puts power back in the hands of the client, showing them that they can influence their own body's responses, reduce stress, and improve emotional regulation. It's especially helpful for anxiety disorders, chronic pain, migraines, and PTSD. One of the most widely used and research-supported approaches in modern psychology is cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. It's effective for treating everything from anxiety and depression to PTSD and eating disorders because it addresses both how we think and how we act. CBT is structured, goal-oriented therapy that helps individuals recognize and change negative thought patterns and unhelpful behaviors. It's based on the idea that thoughts, emotions, and behaviors are interconnected. And by by changing one, we can improve the others. So here's the core principles. If you can identify and challenge distorted thinking and replace unhealthy behaviors with better ones, you can break the cycle that keeps mental health problems keep going. Here's some examples of CBT techniques. The first one is dialectical behavior therapy, or DBT. I do notice in psychology we like to put letters into what it is called to make it easier for us. A form of CBT focused on emotional regulation, mindfulness, and distress tolerance. It's especially helpful for people with borderline personality disorder or intense mood swings. It teaches skills to manage overwhelming feelings and improve relationships. The next one, rational emotive behavior therapy. REBT. It's developed by Albert Ellis, and this therapy helps people identify irrational beliefs, like I must be perfect to be loved, and replaces them with more rational, empowering thoughts. It's about changing the way we talk to ourselves, right? Because we always do that. We talk to ourselves. It's true. A client believes I must be perfect to be liked, but using CBT, the therapist helps the client challenge that belief and replace it with I don't have to be perfect to be accepted. I can be myself and still be valued. This shift reduces anxiety and builds confidence. CBT is practical, empowering, and backed by decades of research. It helps people develop real tools to manage stress, cope with difficult emotions, and change unhelpful habits, leading to long-term improvements in mental health. The last therapy we're going to explore is a warm and empowering approach to therapy known as humanistic therapy. This type of therapy is rooted in the belief that every person has the potential for growth, healing, and self-actualization, and that therapy should be a space where people feel truly seen and accepted. Humanistic therapy focuses on personal growth, self-awareness, and the idea that people are inherently good and capable of change. So rather than just trying to fix a person, this approach helps them discover their own path and reconnect with their authentic self. Here are the core beliefs. People have the inner resources needed for healing. With the right environment, one that's warm, non-judgmental, and empathetic, growth happens naturally. The therapist's role is not to be direct, but to support and reflect. Here are the key techniques used in humanistic therapy. Okay, one, person-centered therapy. And this was developed by Carl Rogers. The therapist provides unconditional positive regard, meaning they accept the client without judgment no matter what. They also often offer genuineness and empathy, helping the client feel emotionally safe and understood. The next technique is active listening. The therapist reflects back on what the client is saying to show understanding and encourage deeper exploration. So this might include statements like, it sounds like you're feeling overwhelmed, or you're saying that you're torn between two choices. For example, here we go. During a session, a client expresses feeling lost and unsure about their future. So instead of giving advice, the therapist says, it sounds like you're feeling overwhelmed and uncertain right now. This reflection validates the client's emotions and creates space for them to explore their feelings more deeply. Humanistic therapy emphasizes respect, authenticity, and emotional safety. And by building a supportive relationship, it helps clients develop self-confidence, inner strength, and clarity about who they are and what they want. Okay, so here are the key takeaways for the AP exam for 5.5 CED question number 4. You need to understand the difference between psychodynamic, cognitive, behavioral, and humanistic techniques. You need to be able to match specific techniques, for example, token economy, exposure therapy, etc., to their therapeutic approach. And you need to know examples of therapies like CBT, DBT, and REBT, and their applications. Okay, so that's all the essential knowledge you need to know for question number 4. Describe techniques used with psychological therapies. So if you found this video helpful, please hit that like button for me. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so also. That really does help me a lot. And hey, by the way, let me a comment to tell me, how are you studying? What are your techniques for studying, your key terms, your information? What are you finding helpful? Maybe we can help somebody else along the way. I know the test is coming really soon, and I'm sure lots of people are putting in all the hard work right now. Anyway, I will keep going with the videos until we finish Unit 5 and then make some review videos, hopefully before the exam. Thank you so much for listening. See you next time.